The Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch Season 5 has aired its first episode, and many fans are already seeing huge progress from the team. The episode began with a diving expedition as Chad Ollinger explored an underwater cavern. But during the episode, many viewers were caught off guard by the mysterious masked man, who seemingly took something important. Keep reading to see what happened. The first episode of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch Season 5 kept many viewers on the edge of their seats. Chad documented his dive into an underwater cave. After squeezing himself into tight spaces, he discovered a massive space that could house hundreds of people. Chad also brought back some artifacts he found during his dive. One of them is a shattered piece of pottery, as well as a broken piece of an arrowhead. The team believes it's a sign of a previous civilization around the area. What makes things more interesting is that the underwater cavern connects to the keyhole chamber, which is believed to be the exact location of the treasure. However, it would require insane effort that would last maybe months in order for them to reach the chamber through the underwater cave. Some fans on social media discussed an odd scene from the Season 5 premiere of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch. According to the OP, they were shocked by the mysterious masked man who took a huge canister out of nowhere. It caused a commotion, with the treasure hunting crew calling out the guy and letting him know they're coming. Some fans were skeptical about the scene, saying that it could be fake. This was because of how perfectly placed the camera was before the incident, seemingly indicating that the cameraman knew that the person was coming. Some Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch fans on another social media thread were also left scratching their heads over the radioactive uranium deposits that were found by the team. They even used a Geiger counter to measure radioactivity. However, several commenters mentioned that the Geiger counter doesn't definitively identify uranium and that other elements could have triggered the counter to show radioactivity. Others also mentioned that what they did was scientifically incorrect, which adds fuel to the speculations that they've been faking storylines. The season premiere of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch erupted onto screens with an unexpected intensity, shaking even the most seasoned fans with a chilling appearance that left more questions than answers. As cameras rolled on the sun-drenched, silent terrain of eastern Utah, a new and haunting figure emerged, one whose face was never seen, whose intentions remained cloaked, and whose presence bent the entire episode towards something darker than ever before. From the first sweeping aerial shots of the ranch, there was a noticeable tension humming beneath the familiar desert winds. Drone footage flickered briefly, distorting and glitching as though something interfered with the signal. Technicians blamed solar flare activity, but those on set spoke in hushed tones, recalling that this kind of interference had only ever occurred near the water-filled cavern, rumored to hide the most dangerous secrets of the land. But this time, the distortion wasn't confined to electronic devices. In the early hours of filming, while the crew inspected an old mining shaft newly exposed by seasonal runoff, a lone figure was spotted at the periphery of the frame, motionless, half-shrouded in shadow, and unmistakably human. Dressed in earth-toned clothing that blended with the rocks and dust, the figure wore an expressionless white mask, its surface smooth, featureless save for two deep black eye holes that mirrored nothing back. The cameras hadn't caught his approach. There was no evidence of footprints, and by the time the production team paused to investigate, the figure had vanished without a trace. At first, producers assumed it was a prank. But no one on the crew admitted to the act, and internal footage, later dissected by fans frame by frame, revealed something more unsettling. The masked figure had been present for longer than initially thought. He appeared briefly in the background of a drone shot taken the previous day, perched at the edge of a ravine watching. There had been no indication of his presence until someone, by accident, spotted the anomaly during post-edit. As the episode unfolded, clues mounted. During a team excavation near the anomaly pit, a sinkhole discovered last season to contain unnatural metal readings, another disturbance occurred. The equipment, precisely calibrated and tested hours earlier, began to emit a low rhythmic hum. The frequency matched a pattern previously found on an ancient Navajo carving unearthed on the property last year. That carving had been dismissed by some as coincidental. After the premiere, no one was so sure. Later, while reviewing camera trap footage set up around the perimeter, the team found something bone-chilling. Silent, the same slow-moving, was captured on infrared entering and exiting the restricted north field. He moved with an unnatural grace, as if weightless, his posture rigid, and his head cocked in unnatural angles. At one point, he paused directly in front of a motion sensor. The light did not trip. It was as though he was never there at all. Fans across social media erupted, dissecting the masked man's appearance. Theories ranged from hoax to hallucination, secret societies to shapeshifters. Some drew connections to the long-standing lore of Skinwalker Ranch, which sits just 20 miles away, and whose own web of myths includes beings that mimic human appearance. Others latched onto older legends, citing accounts from 19th century miners who claimed to see masked guardians roaming the area, figures believed to be protectors of something buried, something not meant to be unearthed. Yet, the episode provided no resolution, no confrontation, no capture, only hints. At one point, a hidden trail cam revealed the masked figure placing an object, a small, black cube, into a rock crevice beside the eastern mesa. When the team arrived at that same location hours later, nothing remained. No cube. No sign the rock had ever been disturbed. And yet, later in the night, during a storm that seemed to roll in from nowhere, all site electronics failed simultaneously. Even the radios, usually resilient against environmental interference, went silent for exactly 6 minutes and 13 seconds. After power returned, a message was found burned into the dirt beside the central campsite. A symbol, circular, intersected by 3 sharp lines forming an inverted triangle. No one claimed responsibility. No one saw it being made. It was at that point the team halted filming for the night. Tents were packed. Lights extinguished. No one spoke on the ride back to base camp, though the camera continued to roll silently, capturing the same masked figure perched atop the ridge, watching the departure from a distance too far for human eyes to register unaided. Viewers watching the premiere felt the shift instantly. Unlike previous episodes, which balanced exploration with explanation, this one carried an unmistakable weight. Gone were the comforting voiceovers and structured sequences. Instead, there was silence. Long, drawn-out moments where even nature seemed to hold its breath. And always, lurking just out of reach, the masked man, never speaking, never moving fast, always present. Some fans dug deeper. Images of the mask were cross-referenced with museum archives. One researcher noted similarities between the design and ceremonial masks of pre-Columbian origin, specifically the ones used in rituals to ward off sky spirits. Others identified its resemblance to plague masks of the 17th century, though stylized and devoid of any filtering mechanism. The ambiguity only fueled the mystery. Meanwhile, the show's official channels remained quiet, refusing to confirm or deny the masked man's identity or origin. Promotional posters for the next episode were released with the tagline, "Not all who watch are seen." The background of the image, a blurred, high-contrast shot of the figure, barely visible behind the tree line. A week after the episode aired, a podcast devoted to Blind Frog Ranch mysteries hosted a former crew member under anonymity. The guest described a growing paranoia on set, one that began before filming resumed. Equipment kept disappearing. Drones lost GPS signals mid-flight. Tools were found twisted, as though exposed to extreme heat. But the most disturbing incident, the guest claimed, was the discovery of 3 life-size effigies, crudely constructed from scrap and wire, wearing identical white masks. They were arranged in a triangle, facing inward, in the middle of the excavation site. No one knew who placed them there. The security footage cut out for exactly 13 minutes the night before. As the podcast gained traction, fans began spotting the masked man in places beyond the ranch. In the background of an unrelated series filmed in Utah. Reflected in the window of a parked truck during an Instagram livestream by one of the cast. A man matching his description was even reported by hikers near the Tavaputs Plateau, standing alone on a distant ridge, unmoving. While skeptics argue that it's all an elaborate viral marketing stunt, longtime fans disagree. The show has never engaged in dramatics for drama's sake. The risk of alienating a loyal audience with fake scares would be too high. And besides, the fear expressed by the cast, though subtle, felt real, etched into their eyes, painted across their faces in the still frames that now circulate in fan groups and discussion boards.